But I love the city.
Good morning, folks. It looks like we have a quorum. I think I can count to 5, but we'll go ahead and do a roll call. Go ahead, Ashley.
Michael Brown.
Here.
Ryan Dethridge. Oh, I'm sorry. Peter Dillingham.
Here.
Shaylin Hanning. Here. Leonard McCullough.
Here.
Rob Seaman.
Here.
Awesome. Let's go ahead and stand for a pledge of allegiance and Oklahoma flag salute. Please join with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please join me in the Oklahoma flag salute. I salute the flag of the state of Oklahoma. Its symbols of peace unite all people. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Great. All right. Don't know exactly where Ryan is, but hopefully he's safe. I think he was planning to attend, so we might hear from him shortly. But we'll go ahead and get started since we do have a quorum. Superintendent Walters is not here, apparently, so we will move forward past that, and I'll give some opening comments. Not a whole lot to update you on as we are now jumping into school starting. So everybody's busy with the first of school. So this is actually what I would call a downtime for road activity and in the office time where we're working on budgets and things like that you're going to hear a bit about here in a moment. We did just finish up our largest event of the year with Summit, and you're going to get a great update on that from 3 individuals here. So I'll leave that to them in just a minute. I want to let you know that I am presenting, in case you hear, at 2, possibly 3 sessions at OSSBA conference that's coming up, and I don't know if you guys are attending or not. You're welcome to attend those events as school board members or as state board members. So that's their training event for a lot of the school board members across the state. And so I'll be talking about CareerTech, and then we have several members of our team that will actually be there presenting as well.
When is that?
That is September 4th and 5th, right? Ashley, do you remember? I think so. I'll look at you and making sure I'm right. Friday and Saturday, first week of September. So if you want to attend that, let me know so that we can make sure that we have things available. Our Tech Center board members, along with K-12 board members, attend that to get a lot of their training points. So there'll be a large crowd there. One thing that we're working on right now, you're going to get presented at your next board meeting, so I want to go ahead and make you aware, is some changes in how we proceed with lottery funds that we get each year. So we'll talk about that and how we're going to be changing at the next board meeting. So if you have questions or concerns, please let me know, but we'll be bringing you some updates at the next board meeting. Also wanted to update you on our field-focused positions, is I guess what I would call them, the people that are split up into regional activities and work primarily out in the field. We're changing it around in the agency where they're not in the office as many days, where they can be out in the field working. So we have updated our first few positions with that, and we'll give you updates on how that's going. I know Randy's not here, but that's been a big priority of his, is to make sure that those people can work in the areas where they serve the teachers. So we're pretty excited. That has not started, but we did update some job descriptions, and we'll start moving forward really soon. And then also, as we've talked about before, I have got the HR team along with our data team reviewing the pay bands and where they are competitively to the field. So we'll be bringing those over the next few months to you as well to talk about where compensation is and if it's appropriate or not. You guys will get to make some decisions on that. So that's kind of what we're working on right now in the agency. And like I said, most of the stuff we've done, you're going to get to hear about today. So not a whole lot other things to update you on. So any questions about those items? If not, we can rock and roll. So recognition let's do 1.05. Sorry, 1.05 is discussion and possible action on minutes of the July 17th, 2025 regular board meeting.
Move to approve.
I got Leonard, he's closer to me. Sorry, Pete.
Move to approve.
Any discussion? Okay, seeing no discussion, Ashley, will you call for a vote?
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Dillingham?
Yes.
Mrs. Hanning?
Yes.
Mr. McCullough?
Yes.
Mr. Seaman?
Yes.
Awesome. All right, number 2 is recognition and presentations. 2.01 is presentation and possible discussion of the 58th Annual Oklahoma Summit by Miss Gina Hubbard, and she's got some guests as well. So thank you, Gina. Make sure you turn that microphone on, please.
Good morning. Thank you all for being here, and I really appreciate the opportunity to not follow a CTSO or our Teacher of the Year. So thank you, Ashley, if you had anything to do with that. Do we have our summit presentation queued up, Brandon? Perfect. Thank you so much. Well, it's my pleasure to visit with you this morning about our 58th Annual Oklahoma Summit. This is where we bring over 4,400 CareerTech educators together for a conference where we engage in professional development, networking, and having lots of fun. So it's very unique to our system, so I do hope that you will enjoy hearing a little bit about what we did. It was August 4th and 5th in Tulsa. The first slide, if I can get it to go, there we go. This is really special. For the first time ever, we closed our state agency on Monday, August 4th, and we took our entire staff to Oklahoma Summit. We thought it was important that everyone understand the big picture and that the reason we exist is to serve our schools and our stakeholders. So we all put on a uniform and we took 232 agency staff to Tulsa, and for 33 of these individuals, it was their first time to attend. So we're extremely proud of that, and everyone really enjoyed that opportunity, and we will continue to do that, barring anything unforeseen, that we felt like it was a worthwhile activity. It took a little extra effort, but it was absolutely worth it. So, Director, do you have anything to add to that? It was remarkable.
No, it was a big deal, and really the reason for making all staff attend, because you kind of had to make them in the beginning, I think more will be willing now, is to understand the why. So it's important that everybody in the agency knows the why we serve people and what we do. Many people that had not been don't know what a school actually serves or what they teach or how they train, and have never met any of these individuals. So it was a big eye-opening experience for a lot of the staff to know the why we operate as CareerTech. So it was good. You don't just work in a cubicle crunching numbers or making sure that we're staffed. You serve a purpose, and so it was really big.
Yep. Awesome. Next up, we have just a few more candid photos of our incredible staff in their uniforms. I do want to point out the lovely fathead in the corner. This was our marker. This is how people knew where to go sit. We had a lot of fun with that, but I've now been told they are in an undisclosed location, and we may never see them again. But anyway, we had a lot of fun with that. This is some information from our CareerTech Foundation golf tournament. We've been doing this for about 3 years, and as you can see, we had a great turnout. We raised over $6,000 for student organization support and student scholarships. And our first place team came from Northeast Tex, and if anyone would like to critique the director's swing, there you go. He had a great time. Yeah, Brenna probably didn't pass. Anyway, we ended up in there too. So, in the middle is our foundation board members that were there, and then of course all of our golf carts lined up. So it's a worthwhile event, and we really appreciate all the support we had for that. Again, just some more photos. I do want to point out here in the bottom corner, this is Laura Morris. She is the program manager for Health Careers, and I like to refer to her as the director of fun, because wherever Laura is, there's going to be fun, and she is working registration and interacting with teachers and her staff there. So we do play a huge role in the registration process at Summit as we partner with our professional organization, OKACTE, which you'll hear more about later, but that is a uniqueness of our event, and we really enjoy doing that piece because we get to see all the people that we get to support and serve throughout the year. Next up, we had an awards banquet on Sunday evening. Leslie Osborne was our keynote speaker, and the best way that I can sum that up is it was a very honest and colorful presentation. She absolutely loves CareerTech, and we enjoyed having her with us that evening. In addition, while we do not have a photo, our very own Brent Haken was honored by the National Technical Honor Society Star of Excellence Award for his advocacy and remarkable accomplishments on behalf of students. So congratulations to you, Brent, for that. Again, we had a lot of awards given out. I can't talk about all of them, or we'd be here all day, but I do want to talk about Representative Lay. He represents District 68, and he was very instrumental in supporting us this past session through just education, advocacy, and policy, and was really a key player in the bill that allowed our pharmacy tech students to have an apprenticeship opportunity. So we really appreciated his support, and we're glad to have him and his family with us at that event.
I'll stop you right there for just a minute just to make the board aware. Representative Lay has an interim study over the benefits and opportunities for CareerTech that we'll be participating in soon. He has me organizing that along with Sky McNeil, that's the executive director of OKACTE. He wants to make sure that we can bolster and support CareerTech. He's a real champion for us as a freshman last year. He also wants to carry forward a state apprenticeship model, which we started with our 600-hour apprenticeship that we call a CTA, CareerTech apprenticeship. He wants to make that the state model, and then we lead that for the whole state. So he's pretty big fan of us and excited for workforce development and really making it work.
The next one is our outstanding new professionals. These are for individuals less than 5 years in our system. Kaleidoscope Award, Communications and Marketing Award went to Canadian Valley and Northeast Tech individuals. These are our Gold Star School Award winners. This recognizes districts with exemplary programs, and they have a broad spectrum of offerings to meet community needs. It's a very important award, the highest award given to a technology center through our OKACTE organization. And so we're extremely proud of these schools that reached that pinnacle. This is a couple of photos from our general session. This gentleman played the national anthem on that saxophone, and it was unbelievable. I'd never seen a flat, black, matte saxophone, but it was beautiful, and he did an amazing job doing that. As you can see, we had the Lieutenant Governor there, shared with us how important our system is to site selectors, and when he's out of state, all of the wonderful compliments he gets about Oklahoma's system. So we appreciated his time with us and his support. I'm not sure I can explain the one on the bottom, but that was Josh Sundquist. He was our keynote speaker, and he had some audience interaction going on there. So he was awesome as well. He talked to us about how doing just one more thing, one more time can really have an impact. And so, and if you really want some humor, Google his Halloween costumes, because they are priceless, and he's great. He's a Paralympian skier, and so he just really encouraged and motivated all of us, and we were appreciative of him being there.
What was his name again?
Josh Sundquist, I believe. Let me make sure I got it. Yeah, Josh Sundquist.
If you can't tell from the photo, he just has one leg, and he's pretty funny about it. Really funny about it.
Yeah, so that's why his Halloween costumes are coming. There's something about skiing into a pole there, and yeah, it's a whole story. It was a lot of fun. We enjoyed having him. Again, some more awards: Support Staff of the Year, New Teacher of the Year. We really appreciate our OG&E, PSO, and Express Employment Professionals support. As you can see, many of these awards, they're holding checks. And our sponsors have made that possible, and we really appreciate that, especially in light of losing Mr. Funk. He was a huge supporter and felt it was very important to recognize individuals in our system. There's our Teacher of the Year from Francis Tuttle, Post-Secondary Professional, and Teacher Educator. These individuals will go on and compete at Region 4 as well. That's being held in Arkansas in the spring, and then the possibility of going on to the national conference as well. So we always have a great turnout at Region 4, and at the national level with individuals in our system. Administrator of the Year, Raina McVeigh, Counseling and Career Development, and Carl Perkins, Community Service. So as you can see, we have a lot of individuals and people doing great things, and we're excited we were able to recognize them. Ulaga-Talala Public Schools were presented with our PK-12 Award of Excellence, and Lieutenant Governor Pennell was there for that presentation. So we appreciate that partnership and the great things that are happening in that school. Arch Alexander Award is given almost one of the highest honors that is given through our organization for visionary leaders who shape the future. That award went to Dr. Michelle Keelan. She is currently the superintendent at Francis Tuttle. She was a phenomenal classroom teacher at Okmulgee High School and again at Green Country. She was really on the cutting edge of bringing in new things into the business marketing and IT ed division. She helped a lot of new teachers along the way. Then she became program manager at the Oklahoma Department of CareerTech with all of us. She actually hired me there, so I appreciate that. And several directors have allowed me to stay, so I'm thankful for that. And but now she has moved into the superintendent role at Francis Tuttle. We're really proud of the things that she's accomplished. The Bob Funk Advocate Award went again to Raina McVeigh. Raina is a champion of our system. She's come from the classroom. Now she works in WED at Tulsa Tech. She's been a PK-12 teacher, a technology center teacher, and anywhere you look with things that are going on with our professional organization or what have you, you will find Raina. She's just everywhere. So we were very proud of her award as well. Lifetime Achievement Award for Deborah Bartett at Indian Capital Technology Center. Francis Tuttle Award. This goes to, this is actually the highest award given through our OKACT division. And it's for contributions that have had a lasting impression at the state and national level. And Brent Casey is another one of those individuals where he's everywhere. He started out as an ag teacher. He went to Meridian Technology Center through an internship program and worked in operations. He is currently the assistant superintendent at Canadian Valley Technology Center. He's extremely active in our professional organization at the state and national level. He pours into our young professionals. He's an advisor for OKACTE fellows, takes them to the Policy Institute in DC every year. So again, just a real champion in our system, so we're proud of Dr. Casey for that, that award. Again, another slide about Josh Sundquist. I've already talked about him, but he was just phenomenal and had a really great message, and he made everybody laugh, and we just had a really good time with him. And if you ever have the chance to see him, I would definitely recommend it. At this point, I get to turn over the people that really make things happen. I have a couple of folks with me today. I'm going to start with introducing Brenna Long. She is the Communications and Marketing Coordinator. She manages all of our agency social media. She's really what I would call an engagement architect. She does a fantastic job with her work, and so I'm going to let her talk to you about the numbers and all the things that, all the followers and things like that that happen during our conference.
Okay, we'll bring this down a little bit. So I get to talk to you about our general numbers. We had over 4,400 people that registered to attend Summit. We had 232 staff members that attended, all in our blue shirts. And there were 139 companies that came to our vendor fair, including one dog robot that liked to chase people around and scare people during the vendor fair, which was really funny. From a social media standpoint, we had a really large increase in impressions this year. We had over 669,000 total impressions, which impressions is any time that it shows up in someone's feed, whether that's paid or organically. And so that number increased from last year at this time by 67%. Engagement was also up significantly. We had over 25,000 people engaged in our content over the time period, which was an increase of 62%. And that number doesn't seem very large in relation to that impression number, but when you look at our target audience for summit content is that 4,491 people who are attending, because those are the CTE professionals around the state. So we think that that number is a pretty good number for that amount of content that we produce for those specific people. One highlight we had this year was the new statewide marketing video was debuted at our general session, and we posted it to social media not long after, and it has already gained over 78,000 views just since it's been posted. And that includes organically and paid advertisement as well. Some of our best performing content actually came, will you click the next slide? Thank you. Some of our best performing content actually came before we even got to Summit. One of those posts was our Throwback Thursday post. So a lot of people, retired folks, former employees, and current employees even really engage with that content. So we saw a really significant kind of increase in views and interaction leading into Summit, and so we carried that momentum through the entire 3 days that we were there. We advertised everything from the golf tournament to Tech Cap reunion to the general sessions and even the food trucks that were provided. So we had a lot of posts that went out and a lot of information that was shared over those 2 days, but we feel like we got some really great numbers from that information. Another post that was really great was the post that I did about the entire agency attending, and a lot of feedback from the field was very positive, and they appreciated that we were all there, and then we got to share that time with them at Summit. So now I'll turn it over to Andrea Hancock. She is our communications and event coordinator. She plays a huge role in the logistics and budgeting for Summit and just kind of keeping our agency running all the time. Thank you.
So while Andrea is coming up, I will tell you guys my favorite comment of the whole Summit experience is when someone came up to me in the hall and said, "Hey, Director Haken, there's some people wearing our shirts that don't work at the agency." And I'm like, "No, they do work there. You just haven't met them yet."
Hi, I'm Andrea Hancock. I'm the event coordinator at the state agency. I know Gina and Brenna both touched on this, but Oklahoma Summit is a collaborative annual conference hosted by Oklahoma CareerTech and OKACTE. It brings together over 4,400 CareerTech professionals from across the state for networking, professional development, and strategic planning. In my role, I oversee the planning and logistics coordination of the conference. This includes working closely with each CareerTech division to assess and accommodate their space and facility needs based on their specific programmatic and professional development requirements. I secure and coordinate appropriate venues to ensure a seamless experience for all attendees. For this year's summit, we maximize the use of multiple locations to meet the needs of each division. This included all six Tulsa Tech campuses, the Arvis Convention Center, the Doubletree Conference Facilities, Hyatt Regency meeting spaces, and additionally, we partnered with OSU IT and Green Country Technology Center to host the Trade and Industrial Education, which requires a large-scale accommodation. Day 2 of Summit is dedicated to division-specific professional development, ranging from industry panels to technical training sessions. Planning for the Oklahoma Summit begins a full year in advance to ensure this event executes efficiently and meets the evolving needs of the educators and industry partners. Does anybody have any questions?
Yep. Questions on the event as a whole, Andrea, Brenna, or Gina?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yep. Great event. So yes, I need to be more specific on your invitation and making sure that you know what you can get into if you want to be a part of any of it, and we'll do a better job at that so you can see as well what's going on, even if you can just be there for a little while. So Ashley's probably getting the hint right now that she's like, okay, I'll make sure that happens. Yeah. So thank you guys for your support. Taking the whole agency was a great thing and something new for us, so appreciate your support. And if you have questions moving forward, feel free to ask them. We have a great honor for our next part of the meeting today. This year, Oklahoma State Teacher of the Year is one of our family, a CTE teacher. So we have with us today Melissa Yvonne is from Elgin School District, and she's here to talk to you guys about what it means to be the State Teacher of the Year and what it means to be a CTE teacher, but her whole journey as well. So make sure to give her some really hard questions. She's just starting her tour as State Teacher of the Year. We're really excited that she's part of our family. Thanks, Melissa, for being here.
Thank you. I'm here to say thank you. It's an incredible honor to stand before you as the 2025 Oklahoma Teacher of the Year. I'm filled with immense gratitude, not just for the opportunity and the recognition, but because of the transformative path my career has taken because of Oklahoma CareerTech. Some of you might know my story, some of you may not. I'm an Oklahoma public school graduate. I went to Southwestern Oklahoma State University, where I majored in social sciences education. Growing up, all I wanted to learn was history, government, and geography. And so that's what I started doing in 1992. Started teaching way back in the 1900s. I started teaching at Elgin High School. I taught there until 2001, and I had fallen in love with the man from Altus Air Force Base. And his career, when we got married in 2001, took us to Northern Virginia. He was stationed at the Pentagon, and I left Elgin, which was K through 12, 1,000, and went to a school in Fairfax County, Virginia, 5,000 kids in the building. And that was an experience, and I learned so much. We left there, we went to Colorado Springs, where I taught at Cheyenne Mountain High School. Then left there and went to Scott Air Force Base in Southern Illinois. Took a little bit of time off from education when our son was born. But in 2014, when my husband was getting ready to retire, I said, let's go home. I want to go back to Oklahoma. We chose for our son to go through Oklahoma public schools. We wanted him to be a graduate. So in 2014, there happened to be a social science position open at Elgin Schools teaching 7th grade geography. And my husband, who had had this career in cybersecurity for the Air Force, got to teach 5th grade history for a year and then became the technology director for Elgin Schools. So we're both employees of Elgin. Teaching 7th grade. Woo! 7th grade brain is a really, really special thing. And once I kind of moved out of that high school belief system and went and learned a little bit more about 7th grade, I really enjoyed my time there. But after about 10 years, I was beginning to struggle a little bit with the 7th grade brain. We'd had a big culture shift at our school. And I said, you know what, it might be time to do something different. And I really thought seriously about leaving education. But every time I thought about walking out of the classroom, I really had a physical response. My chest would get tight. I'd kind of begin to shake a little bit. I wanted to be in the classroom, but decided maybe I needed to go back to high school. So I contacted the Elgin High School principal and said, what do you have in social sciences? And he said, nothing. He said, but we might, our Oklahoma history teacher's like 77 years old, and so he might want to retire one day. And I was sitting with my best friend when I got a phone call from another teacher at Elgin High School. Hey, there's no social science opening, but family and consumer sciences is opening. And my best friend and I, we laughed and laughed and laughed. Me, teach family and consumer sciences? I'm not a very good cook. And when I asked my mother to teach me to sew, it ended up with us yelling at each other, the sewing machine breaking, and my mother said, you can buy your clothes from now on. And so I thought, I can't be the family and consumer science teacher. But I sat with that for a couple of days. What would that look like? Could I be the family and consumer science teacher? My son, all 4 years of high school, took family and consumer sciences. And he said, Mom, I think you can do this. You could be teaching about jobs and how to get a job. You could be teaching financial literacy, hospitality and tourism. You like to travel. Surely you can do that. And so when I taught history, one of my favorite people in history is Peter, St. Peter, that guy. And I like Peter because he's not perfect. And he makes some mistakes, but he gives it his all. And one of my favorite stories is when Peter decides to get out of that very safe boat in that very stormy sea. And a lot of times we criticize Peter because he got out of the boat but didn't quite have enough faith and began to sink. But I love Peter because he had the courage to get out of the boat, to leave what was safe and try something new. So I decided to choose reinvention over resignation and to have my own get out of the boat moment. I said, I want to be the family and consumer science teacher. And I worked through my licensing. I worked with a program specialist from CareerTech. And the coolest thing about CareerTech, they said, you're going to do something new. Yes, you're a career teacher. You've been teaching for a long time, but come for a week of training to be a family and consumer science teacher. We're going to give you a mentor. We're going to give you a program specialist. We're going to give you a community of family and consumer science teachers. They're going to help you along the way. And those teachers were incredibly supportive. The ag teachers at my school showed up. How can we help? I'm going to be honest with you. I've been teaching for a long time, but until I started my journey in family and consumer sciences, I'd never had a budget as a teacher. So thank you for what you provide so that teachers can teach and do incredible things with kids. So being a consumer science teacher hasn't just been a job change. As I mentioned, it has completely changed my path. Here I am as the Teacher of the Year. It's given me a renewed passion, a different perspective, the opportunity to connect with students in ways I never imagined. It's been a gift to teach my students real-life skills in a curriculum they truly value. I love teaching adulting skills, financial literacy, parenting, food safety, communication skills, hospitality, and even some basic sewing. My students ask me questions like, hey, Mrs. Yvonne, can you help me with this job application? Can you teach me to iron? How do I put air in a tire? How do I open a bank account? And right before the end of the year last year, one of my hospitality students said, Mrs. Yvonne, I'm getting ready to be a dad, and I've never even held a baby. Teach me all the things. I ran into him last week, and he's killing it as a dad. And he said, how do I invest for my son so one day he can go to college? So I know that teaching family and consumer sciences matters. It matters to my kid. It's changed them. It's changed me. As I mentioned, the community of family and consumer sciences in CareerTech has been monumental, and it was monumental to my success those first 2 years of teaching family and consumer sciences. Thank you for the budget. Thank you for the resources that are available through the CareerTech curriculum, through the Instructional Materials Center. Thank you for the investment and the support and the resources that you all give to teachers, students, and CareerTech centers. It's making a difference to our educators, to our students, to our communities, and our state. My message to teachers this year as I travel the state is to take a look and see where they can get out of the boat. That doesn't mean jumping ship, and it maybe is not as drastic as my career change, but maybe they can use a new pathway. Maybe they can use a new resource, a new technology, or trying something a little bit different than they have before. Becoming a CareerTech teacher has proven to be one of the very, very best decisions of my entire professional life. The journey has shown me that reinvention is a powerful force. I'm so grateful that that decision led me to CareerTech and the opportunity to work with students, building life skills while shaping our future leaders across our state. Thank you so much for all that you all do for all of us. That's all I have.
Thank you, Melissa. So you're going to have to be kind of on the circuit, so to speak. So
Yes.
we were talking the other day about what your year looks like. Would you explain that to the board, kind of what your year looks like now as the State Teacher of the Year?
Sure. I'm still an employee of Elgin Public Schools, and that way my retirement is not affected, things like that. I have a contract with the OSDE, and they want me to come in 1 day a week to the office, and then they want me to do at least 2 visits a month, visiting schools or CareerTechs or universities or civic groups. My understanding is that pre-COVID, the Teacher of the Year used to do about 100 visits around the state. After COVID, it got down to about 20. Last year, Rachel Keith from Ada, she's phenomenal, did 52 visits. And she said to me the night that I was announced that I had been selected for Teacher of the Year, you should do 75. So 75 visits, that's my goal between now and next July. Last week, I got to start my first school speech at Elgin. Then I was at the CareerTech Center in Altus. I'm with you all today. I'll leave here this afternoon and go to Tahlequah and speak with student teachers. Next week, I'm in Mustang, I'm in Norman, and I am in McAllister. And so that's what I'm trying to do, is fill my calendar talking to people about Oklahoma education, about the great things happening with CareerTech. So I have a calendar, and I have a calendar request. If you know of any groups that I can speak to, I'd love to do that. I would love to hit that 75 or more to tell the story of Oklahoma education.
I think you will. I think your passion for education is going to exude across the state, and you won't have a problem filling your calendar. Questions that you guys might have for Melissa?
All right.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for what you do to serve students, but also now as an advocate for the whole state. It's very, very important. We're proud that you're part of our family. We're proud that we could help. We know that we're different here in CareerTech, and thank you for recognizing the opportunity that you had.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
I think it's awesome to hear that story of support. You know, as a teacher coming out right now in the environment that we have, you also feel kind of alone and not sure of where you're going many times. And so that's what we try to do with our teachers, is making sure that they have that team around them. It's exciting that we get to do that. We get to do that because of the decisions that you guys make. So thank you for that opportunity. And we're going to be talking about some of those things here in just a moment. So as we're rolling through, we are going to move into management information. I think. Yep, management information, item number 3. 3.01 is the first reading and discussion of the fiscal year 27 appropriations request. You have a document in front of you that is very draft. I don't know how else to say that. It's a starting place. So it's just something that's written down on paper right now so that we can start going through that. So what I'm going to present to you today is that last year's fiscal year budget, or the one that we're currently in, that's actually incorrect from what is printed. That's with lottery included, so it's actually 175, 562, 874. That's the amount of money that we are starting this year with to allocate out for the different things. That is an increase from last year, not substantial, but we did get a fiscal increase based off of flex benefit allowance, and then $10 million added to the technology center formula. So that's the changes that we've gone over before. So from there, if we'll start looking down, we know that we're going to need about $1.3 million for flex benefit allowance increase again. So that will be part of our request, even though that it is statutory that it must be funded. So we've been lucky that the legislature has held true to their obligation to fund that for teachers. That represents technology center teachers and support staff when you're looking at that number. So our growth continued in the system, like we've had 16.5% growth in enrollments the last 2 years. That will continue, especially with increased dollars and the emphasis that we've put on growth. So we expect to need 1.3 million moving forward for new teachers coming in and increases in insurance. Any questions there? That one's pretty easy. Now we'll get into the more difficult ones. Okay, so the workforce training, that is the Technology Center funding formula. We asked for 41.65 last year. We got $10 million of that. So I'm going to go back and hit them up again and say, no, this is what I told you we needed if we're going to really fill the gap that we think we need to fill in workforce training. We know that we still have students on a waiting list, so to speak. We will be collecting that data over the next month or so to find out where we are as the fall semester starts. Right now, as schools are starting, they're figuring out who is going to drop and who's actually coming in because of circumstances that may be out of their control. Always a few drop, and then they can add students off that waiting list. So it'll take a little bit of time to get that settled out. Just so that you guys are aware, we'll be gathering that again and trying to summarize how many more should we be training. So that's what that number represents, is how much money we think it would take to increase technology center service. Any questions there? Okay. So that's where we are currently. Also, what we'll be doing is looking at technology center need from program. So something that builds into that is they get a survey each year that says, okay, what programs is your community needing that you don't currently have or are needing to expand? And one of the largest ones is always healthcare. We're needing to expand healthcare constantly. As you likely know, healthcare classes have to be very small, so that's largely dictated by outside agencies, where it's Board of Nursing or the RadTech board or whoever that might be sets the parameters for student-to-teacher ratio. Like in our nursing programs, it's 1 to 12. So figuring out ways that we can serve better is one of the big goals that we have. Leonard and I got to have a meeting with a hospital director or CEO and talk about new opportunities, so we're looking at that as well. How can we increase apprenticeships and keep that moving forward? So that's all that goes, there's a lot that goes into that $31 million request. And again, that's tentative because last year our cost per program, we were estimating at $266,000 per program that it takes to operate. So that will change this number as well if there's an increased cost. The K-12 CareerTech program support, that's an ongoing number as well. That represents programs that need increased support or programs that have not been funded yet. So every year we have schools requesting more and more programs for CareerTech, just like Melissa presented to us, the programs that they offer in those schools like Elgin. They are supported with a budget that she mentioned, that's $412. So that ranges depending on the program. The highest is $15,000. I think the lowest is $8,000 now in program support that they get. They also get $411, which is their incentive to be a CareerTech teacher. It's $2,200 or $2,600. So not a large incentive, but it is some. That's what makes up that budget. And then for ag teachers, they are mandatory by statute to be 12-month employees. So we pay for the 2 summer months. So ag teachers have the largest cost to us as CareerTech to support those into the CareerTech schools. So we have a need to grow the number of programs, and that really drives your career exploration and starts your journey of career skills in the high school level before you get to post-secondary experiences, which are at a tech center. So increased need, this is again a guess right now of 3.5. I really think as we get our requests in and we finalize that, it'll probably be a little bit higher than that of what we actually need to fill that gap. 2 years ago, the legislature fully funded that. Last year, we did not ask for an increase in new programs, only asked for an increase in $411. So we're going to have to go back to them again and say program numbers are going to have to go up if we want to continue what we're doing. So that's what that number is generated by. Any questions there? Thoughts? Okay. Technology Center expansion incentive, if I could speak today. This is our white space areas that are not currently in Technology Center districts. We have offered incentives to schools coming in when we had the dollars available so that it would get them started quicker. So when you annex a geographic area to come into a Technology Center service area, they don't get taxes until the year after. So it takes a while to get their budget started. So what we started doing 2 years ago is offering $250,000 per school if they would annex in to be a part of the Technology Center district, and that would help them be served. So we were able to do that with Beaver County when it came in. Was really the first example of that for schools in Beaver County moving forward. Helped that school at High Plains jump into their programs, remodel some spaces, and they were being served faster. So they already have classes up and going this year, which couldn't have happened until a year later if we had not done that. So that's one way that we help serve a little bit quicker is getting this done. Not something that we have to do, but it's an incentive for the K-12 and the Technology Center. So I think if we're going to go after white spaces not currently served by Technology Center districts, we're going to have to do that to really make a dent. So right now, there's about $32 million that are not being accessed for Technology Center districts because they're not in a Technology Center district. So if they were added in, it would be around $32 million that would come into that, and we wouldn't have to ask the state for those dollars at that point. You can serve those students. Any questions there?
I have a question. Do you know about how many schools are not?
I didn't bring it with me, but I do have that. I have that in a map.
More than 20?
Yes. Yeah, much more than 20. I would say closer to 50.
Wow.
Yeah, schools. So that's great. I wish I could just pull up our map for you. So I'll send you guys our Technology Center service map. It's been a while probably since you've seen it. So northwestern Oklahoma is the largest. There's 2 counties in the Panhandle that are not served at all. There's a full county, and what county is Medford in? Medford is an area that has a whole county, and southeastern has almost a full county in Johnson County, and one other that's pretty full county that are not being served either. and then there's various spaces around the state that are not. Yeah, so those schools have smaller number, or those counties have smaller number of schools than like you would say in Oklahoma County or something like that, but still 4 or 5, up to 8 in those counties. Johnson County has more than Grant County, I think is where Medford is. I think there's only 4 in that county as well. So it depends on the area of the state. In the Panhandle, a couple of those counties may only have 3 or 4 schools in them as well because it's such a sparse population up there.
If we could spend all the money we could get 20 schools, that would probably be a landslide.
Yes, and so,
5 million is plenty for a year's worth of trying to get schools.
I think so. I think so. That's my goal anyway, see if it works. So the hope is, say you take in like a Grant County, and you have 4 schools that pull in. They have enough money to probably operate a campus or a small campus in their area that would be closer, because you really never want a bus ride over about 45 minutes to get to a technology center, or it becomes counterproductive. And that's the problem in these rural areas. So you could put a building in the middle of those 4 schools in a county, and they could pretty much support operations, but they probably couldn't support getting it started and the upkeep. So this would go in. Now you'd have $1 million to get you started. To give you an example, Indian Capital Technology Center has been probably our fastest in growth lately, and he's building buildings like that for about $2 million. We're building for our skill centers right now. Justin, is it 1.2? 1.6 that we are spending on a building to add programs into. So we know that it can be done in a cost-effective way if it needs to be done. So I think we have a model that would be replicable across the state to bring some of those schools in. Yes.
So if we don't spend the 5 million, let's say we spend
Mm-hmm.
2 million, what happens to the 3 million?
We carry it over and go again the next year.
Do we get to keep it?
If the legislature gives it, usually we get to keep it.
So it'd be
Yes. It doesn't have to be
potentially 8
reoccurring.
million the next year?
It depends on how they fund it. So they can fund reoccurring dollars or one-time dollars. So that they can do, but we can carry it over if not all expended. We do have a limit as to what we can carry over, so that depends on the total budget and how much that is. Lisa, what is our? 27 month. Yep. Yep.
So we have 27 months to spend.
Yes.
Okay, got
If it's one-time dollars. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. That's why I got a CFO. Yeah. Great questions, and I think you understand what my goal is. Bring more of them in. I don't want students not being served, and it is not fair to serve students that their population's not being taxed for the same service that other people are. So that's my opinion on it anyway. So that's why that dollar sign is there for $5 million. This next bullet is brand new, and it's kind of similar but different. There has been a huge push across the state for career exploration in hard trades especially, but also including healthcare and some IT, but hard trades are not prevalent across schools anymore. You don't have shop classes, so to speak. That's been something schools have been begging for our help in, legislature's been asking for help in, and so what I've done is generate, if we did that as an outreach service, and that's happening at Central Tech and High Plains right now, where they have TAP programs or Explore programs for really 6th and 7th grade students, on up to 8th and 9th at times, but primarily 6th and 7th grade students, where they get a hands-on realization of what careers look like. Everything from building trades to IT to nursing are usually the ones that we try to stick around. That's primary trades that we train for, but there can be offshoots of other things depending on their area. Has been phenomenally popular for students, for parents, for schools to understand there are a lot of careers that you can go into without debt and come out with great jobs. So it's really been a service to the state that we lost for years and years and years. So this would be an opportunity that I want to present to the legislature and say, hey, if you really want to make this work like you say you do, this is what it's going to cost. What that is $250,000 per technology center campus, where they could kind of be the outreach arm if they need to be. So that's what that dollar represents. Go ahead.
Is it housed in, sorry, you said 6th and 7th graders?
It's housed in their K-12 school,
Great.
but it is usually a teacher from the technology center or more than one teacher sometimes that does that.
That's fine, but we're not asking for the money for a building, so that's helpful.
Yes,
And
that's why it's a
two,
small amount per campus, yes.
Can we get like video footage of some of these kids?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We got a lot of that
Because
already.
if we're able to show that, that would, like, I distinctly remember my own family and consumer sciences, but I did go on to sew for a living, so
Yeah,
there's the thing. But I also remember my shop class really well.
yeah.
And so, yeah, like if you could get footage to.
We do, yeah, and we've
That
had
would
the
be
governor tour
awesome.
several times at TAP. We've had a lot of legislators out and tour both Central Tech and High Plains. They're different models in how they work, but they serve their local needs. So Ripley Public Schools is a small school in the Central Tech area, and they have one now inside of they wanted to take it up early. They wanted to pilot that, and so it's worked really well. Manford has one. They're adding 4 more this year. But right now, these schools are adding them at their own expense. And I've cautioned schools from doing that because it's a great service, but to be honest to the technology center, then you're not able to offer the real career training if you're spending money on that. So you're going to limit yourself while you're showing students, and I believe there is value in getting them in the right programs so that we don't waste dollars. Great, but we still only have so many dollars. So when you're doing that, you can't offer, whether it's an aerospace training or whether it's an IT class. You can't do that because you just spent the money on the teacher for the middle school. So it creates its own problem. Great thing, but it bottlenecks us. And that's what I'm afraid of. And so we haven't pushed to expand this across the state because it's expensive to do that. And so we need to support it. And so it'll take the legislature buying in to do that, or if we could find a federal grant or something like that.
Do we have, I'm sorry, guys.
I like questions.
I
It's
just
good.
love this. Do we have like you're gonna hate this, but like a rough number of what it would take to what does it take to put a shop class, back into a school that doesn't have one? Is it $1 million? Is it 500,000? Like, what is it? How many shop classes can we buy with this?
62. 62 is what that would buy. So it's about 250,000 is what it takes. So last year our cost per program, which would be a
And
little
that
bit higher, is
includes the
266.
person, the
Yes.
instructor.
Yep.
Okay.
Annually. So your instructor costs, depending on, they're not all the same. So depending on experience and what certifications they have, but that's going to cost a school right around $100,000. So it up to 150. So depending on what they can do, because you have to pay flex benefit allowance on top of that, you have to pay for other things that are incurred by having a staff member. So though their compensation may only be 75,000. You're going to have a lot of other costs that go along with that bring it up to around 100.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's great. Last not question statement would be that debt-free careers should literally be our next T-shirt. So let's keep that one in mind.
You guys hear that?
Very catchy.
Free careers. Yeah, I love it. In case you didn't know, along those lines, last year Oklahoma incurred $567 million in student debt. $567 million in student debt. College graduation rate is below 50%, in case you didn't know that.
So I want to start a program. Is there like an application process?
Yeah, we call that, if you start a program in high school, it's a Form 2 process, and then we have a program approval process for technology centers as well. We didn't, but that is new again this year because of the funding formula. So when we implemented the funding formula, now we're implementing program approvals and audit potential as well from the agency. Ties into this request, but that was part of the reason why we built a new funding formula that you guys approved, is to make sure if we're spending the money, it's going where it's needed. It's being implemented right now, so there are a few that are, oh no, they're looking at what we're doing, which is okay. It's all right, because we're having good communication about what we need to do. One thing I've been adamant about is we will not spend money on programs that cannot be filled. So there are programs that you can't fill because they're kind of outdated, and so that rolls off the funding formula. So with AI coming in to a lot of different businesses, it will take over some of our especially like accounting and things like that. A lot of that you'll need a foundation, but a lot of those jobs will go away because they're moving to AI. So we're going to have less programs in those areas, but we'll need more programs on the technician side. So this will drive that funding formula to be reliable for those tech centers to update programs when they need new programs. So the world's always changing around us, and it's our job to keep up with it. Good questions. So again, very draft. Nothing that we need to do, no action we need to take. These are initial thoughts. I will now be following up with our technology center superintendents. We have a Zoom call tomorrow, and then we have a meeting in September to talk about their needs. They'll be getting some surveys in between those two times to make sure I'm understanding what the needs are in the local areas. I'll also start touring schools again like I do each fall to see how it's going and where the dollars are being used. So that will all go well. We'll be in October for our final review, so you'll get another review, September board meeting. October is final, right, Lisa? Let me make sure I'm right again. October 1, yep. So September, you'll be getting a final. Faster and faster.
I had a quick question on,
Thank
like,
you.
I think it would relate to workforce training, but, so, for instance, Google just announced the big thing in Pryor. Do they look towards CareerTech immediately, or do they talk to other agencies? Because I'm envisioning that they're going to need a lot of employees and train employees.
Yeah.
And so if they needed more than they actively see available, are we the first stop, or do we need to do something with funding or marketing or communication to become the first stop? Because I know there's lots of agencies out there that deal with economic development and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just curious, because it seems like our agency does really well. We have great performance, great accountability. But then when you see some of the news out there, it's not always the first thing that comes to mind. So I'm just curious, when a giant company comes to Oklahoma, where are they making the phone calls?
That's a great question. So one of the initial contacts that any company coming to Oklahoma will make is with Commerce. That starts navigating the process. The good news is we have an embedded person in Commerce, and we partner with them to bring any company in. We present what training opportunities we provide. That's been built into the state system for business recruitment for a long time now. So that is our great foot in the door to say, hey, CareerTech is different here than it is anywhere else in the country. So that's good. So like when Google came in, one of their first people on board was Northeast Tech. What can you provide? Tulsa Tech is another one that's going to be brought in, several others. And then as it comes to Stillwater too, as they've announced that we'll be building a data center in Stillwater, Meridian will be involved in that, and probably Ponca City as well. So yes, we are one of their first stops. Many times they don't know that though until they start talking in the processes, and they learn. Like I go down to Oklahoma City and I present probably 2 or 3 times a month about, okay, this is what we offer as a system, and then we bring the superintendents into that discussion and say, okay, this is how we can serve that capacity. So many times it will start with what we call WED, or Workforce Economic Development, and they will do short-term training to train current people in that area, and then we will build out full-time training that will be a pipeline for them. So the WED division, which Max oversees, is our quick and nimble arm that, hey, we can jumpstart this for you. A great example, Google will be similar, but they've already got some presence here, so we'll be working on that. But PAC in Burns Flat area is where we're starting a WED program that will serve some aerospace training needs, and then we will build that into a full-time program if it looks sustainable. So that's a great example of how we do that. Yes, we are at the forefront of most discussions, but it depends on the job type that they need to. A lot of people see the headlines and don't realize what the job type is that will be needed. So like for Google, they're going to need electricians and HVAC technicians probably more than anything else from us. We don't do engineers and things like that. They'll go to the universities for that, which is great. But, as an example, which Rob would know this probably better than I, but you need a pilot, you need 10 mechanics. So usually I need a lot more people to work on it than I do to fly it. So it's the same way with AI. You're going to need intellectual knowledge and property, but you're going to need more technicians to maintain that. Same thing with everything that we do in manufacturing. So us and the regents are usually first at the table, and then they tell us, what's your forecast? What are you going to need? And we start building for that. So it's a great process, works really, really well. We do need the funding. That's what I'm advocating for and have been advocating for. We can't make sure the sustainable pipeline is there. We can do the quick upstart, but the sustainable pipeline of technicians that you need, there's no capacity for that right now, unless with these businesses coming in, so to speak. So we're going to have to grow in order to meet that need. When you talk about thousands and thousands of employees that these companies need, that's a shift, that's a change. So we're going to have to take more and more people that spent some time in other education opportunities, and now they're going to have to come and get some training for real world work. So That's becoming more and more prevalent. It's going well for us, but we have to have these dollars if we want to ramp up. The growth demand we are seeing for CareerTech is near 40%. We need to grow. Now, we've covered some ground, but ad valorem dollars, which we have relied on as a state, will not cover that. It grows 3% a year. So we're going to be waiting a long time if we want to get there, and we'll get behind. So it's going to have to take state injections of cash to make sure that we can ramp up where we need to be to serve that need. So that's why we have an appropriations request, and those are really good questions. So please ask those questions. It helps on the advocacy process as well as building out a budget. So very, very important questions. Yeah. Make sure you ask those. Any other questions about the appropriations request where it is currently? We'll keep moving forward, and we'll add in input from the field as well and staff members here, and we will bring this back next board meeting, and we'll be ready to talk about it again. Okay. All right. 3.02 is an update and possible discussion on the Teach-to-Teach apprenticeship. Max is going to talk about this. It's a great story, great service that we're providing. I don't want to steal his thunder, but we didn't think it was going to be as big as it is. It just shows what we can do when we partner together. So go ahead, Max.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Max McKnight. I'm a Director of Workforce Training at the state agency. You know, that sounds maybe a little more all-encompassing than it really is, because everything all of us do is workforce training, whether it's on the full-time side, the WED side, whatever. We're even down into the TAP, the 6th through 7th grade programs, you know, we're all in workforce training. The divisions I oversee, just as a reminder for some of you, but for some of the new ones, I oversee a group called OK Apex. That's a little bit of an anomaly in our system because that's an acronym that doesn't stand for anything. But that is a group that works, we have 11 or 12 coordinators across the state that work with business and industry in their areas to secure governmental contracts, whether that's state, federal, tribal, whatever. Lana Knott oversees that group and does a great job there. I oversee our Workforce and Economic Development Division. That's our team that works with existing businesses in the districts on their training needs. So a lot of safety training, a lot of customized for business and industry training, and you know, everybody probably gets the catalog from the school you're in the district of that those are our adult career development programs. So Lori Broyles oversees that team of regional coordinators. That's where our coordinator that's embedded in the Department of Commerce is. He works in that division. He's actively involved in all those discussions. You know, they start with him. It's a Project Goose, or, you know, they've all got code names, and here are the parameters. Here's the number of jobs. Here's the pay rate. Here's the job descriptions. We build out a proposal to do the training for them. We do partner with higher ed on those things. I mean, we can look and say, okay, engineers aren't part of this equation, but those HVAC positions are, or production positions or whatnot. So we put together that's part of the big proposal that goes in for the Department of Commerce, and then that's our personal contact that gets handed off to SUPS and the WED directors in the schools. Another division I oversee is our Strategic Workforce Partnerships. That group works with our TANF programs, our Jobs for American Graduates programs, and our adult education and family literacy programs. Manager of that right now is me. So it's been an interesting little time period lately. We had our agreement with the federal government for our AFL program. We were all set to go, and then on June 30th, a pause on that funding was announced. So we went through about a month of a little bit of chaos, maybe a few sleepless nights and tense people in those programs. That funding was finally released the end of July, and so we're getting those agreements back in place and working through that process and our advertising for that position. So now I'm to the part I came up here to talk about apprenticeships, and more specifically our Teaching to Teach apprenticeship. Justin Seiler was our manager of that division, and we trained him so well, and he did such a great job. He parlayed that into a different position with a technology center, so we're trying not to hold that against them, but he was initially involved in this process, did a great deal of work on it with a couple of our internal people. Joe Cox is an apprentice specialist, and Jill Rivas oversees a lot of our, well, not a lot of, she oversees and works with all of our ARPA-funded projects. This is a project that was funded through ARPA. You have in your packet this, a handout that we did for that. This was a project that's using ARPA dollars, came through the Oklahoma Workforce Commission. Different agencies and groups applied for this. We sent in our initial application in kind of end of February. About a month or so later, all the applicants were rejected and sent back for corrections and amendments. So we got some guidance on kind of what they were looking for. So anyway, towards the end of, in early May, we were notified that we had been awarded $1.125 million to go forward with the process. We have partnered with the Oklahoma Workforce Commission and then the Regional University System of Oklahoma on this project. You can see across the bottom of the handout, those universities are East Central, Northeastern, Northwestern, Southeastern, SWOSU, and UCO. This program was designed to provide up to $10,000 of tuition assistance, books, and if they're at a point in the process where they're ready for certification exams, it will pay for those. The target of this apprenticeship was people that are currently employed in a local school district or technology center or early care center and are working towards a teaching degree. Remember, you don't work an apprenticeship to get a job. You're in a job, you are an apprentice. So it's an earn while you learn process. So these people are either paras or teachers' aides in any of the entities I mentioned, the K-12, a tech center, or a early child care system, and they're taking courses at one of the 6 Russo universities. I'd like to point out, Director just mentioned on the industry recruitment part of the process that, higher ed has a role and we have a role, and we're kind of both going down separate lanes, but we do cooperate more than I think a lot of people give us credit for. This, to me, this is kind of a case in point of that type of cooperative agreement. When we first submitted this, the Russos were all in. They've been a big partner in this. They've advocated for us. This required a MOU with each of them individually. It required an application process from each participant. It's been a pretty lengthy process. I like to say, the director mentioned this as well, that on the WED side, we operate at the speed of business. Businesses can't wait for the things, so our WED teams are doing those customized, quick turnaround things in grants and those type of processes. We've put this together really kind of at light speed, really. When we finally got the agreements in place was the end of June. We got the MOUs returned back to us on July 17th. We shot it out there to potential participants on July 21st with a closing date of August 5th to have those back. Joe Cox and Jill Revis that I mentioned earlier were the people involved in looking at every single one of those. And we got 103 of them, and it was not a short application. It was 3 or 4 pages that had to have sign-offs from their local school district, the participating university, and so like I mentioned, we got 103 applicants for that. Of those, we approved 90. applications. One, we've just learned one has taken a job elsewhere, so we're now down to 89 apprentices in this Teaching to Teach apprenticeship program. Joe Cox, being kind of that initial point of contact, has just shared number of emails, phone calls, and things he's gotten with those stories of this will change my life. You know, I was not going to be able to go this semester. You know, kids and cars and work and all the things that but for this, I wouldn't be able to keep going. So I was at an event in Clinton a week or two ago and got to meet some of those and heard some of those same stories. So, you know, when you think about, you know, it's not just changing that person's life, it's changing the lives of those they will teach. You know, we hear the big numbers about emergency certified teachers. We're putting more teachers in the pipeline that'll be certified and be able to teach in our schools. So that's just a quick overview of the program. We early on, the director, and when we were putting it together, we're thinking, oh man, if we get 40 or 50 of these, that'll be a big win. And so to end up with 89 now going through it, we've been in contact with the Workforce Commission. That's a pretty simple math problem, right? I mean, if everybody maxed out their grant, we could use up to 890,000 of that 1.125 million. And so we've been in contact. We know we won't use each of those. You know, these are people that are taking 3 hours or 6. Doesn't include fees and some of those things. But the Workforce Commission has said that, they would be willing to work with us if we need more funds for. We do intend to carry the project forward into the spring semester as well. That's the way it was written. So.
Questions that you might have for Max, I would add just a little bit. He did a great job of covering the program, but for those of you that don't know, your typical school employee that is in this boat that does not have a degree yet and is in an aide type position but would like to get a degree, they make less than $20,000 a year. So they don't usually have the opportunity to pay for it. Many times they don't qualify for federal assistance because of life circumstances where eligibility has passed. Because if you start your application for Pell or for loans and then you forgo that opportunity after you've missed your eligibility window. So usually they have no other choice. If we're going to support people that will make a difference in classrooms, those aides and paraprofessionals are the ones that will really make a significant difference. And so it's a great opportunity. Team has done a really good job to carry it out. To roll out a grant that you were given in May and be ready to enroll students by August is pretty incredible. So proud of the team and what they've done. It's a small dent, but it's a dent that we're making in the number of certified teachers that we need. And hopefully it is a model that the state can see this can work. This can be successful. It's a pretty small investment to make a huge difference. When you think of $1 million helped 100 people versus we just gave $250,000 to a vet school. It's going to help 2 large animal vets next year. So we can make bigger dents if we spend our money where it needs to be spent. And I don't mind being a little bitter about those things.
I had a quick question. Is there a reason it's not rolled out to like OU and OSU and
The big reason is the lion's share of our teachers and teacher training is coming through these universities.
The Russos have the largest enrollment in teacher prep programs, and it was easier to work with a small group in this pilot. I would hope that it could work with all teacher prep programs in the future, but to roll out such a small grant, really $1 million, made more sense to hit the target where we could get the most bang for our buck.
Got it. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just kind of want to highlight that also, that Teaching to Teach apprenticeship program is something that everybody was afraid when apprenticeships came to CareerTech, oh, they're just going to lock those down for tech centers. That's not at all the case. We want to help serve the state that none of these students, they could have went through a tech center, but they didn't have to either. So it does not matter. And just like a lot of our apprenticeships across the state, they don't have to come through us to benefit from the apprenticeship process. And so we're happy to foster that across the state. All right, now we're moving on to some things you get to vote on. I bet you're excited. Discussion and possible action on salary adjustment committee policy and procedure changes. That should be in your packet, and your packet will have highlights in it. Those are the changes that we have made. So I want to point out an overview before you start looking through those changes if you have not already. The purpose of most of this is to align with current operations within the agency. So the salary adjustment committee policy had not been updated for board action, number one, where you had changed it to where if it's below a pay band 17, you don't have to be informed of that until quarterly, that I make those decisions. 17s and above, we come to you, so we need to make that match in here. And then the structure of our leadership committee is changed as well, so making sure that that is replicated as we are actually proceeding. So we made changes to terminology to update and positions that we currently have, and then the way that the board has made decisions on personnel are reflected in here. Be happy to go through it line by line if you want, but might have to order a lunch in. So look over that, ask questions that you may have. Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval of the salary adjustment committee revisions. Is there any discussion? Sorry, I'm taking my time just a minute in case you have something. And always, if you have discussion questions later, please let me know. We can bring those back to light at another board meeting, but I see no discussion. Ashley, will you call for a vote?
Mr. Seaman?
Yes.
Mr. McCullough?
Yes.
Ms. Hanning?
Yes.
Mr. Dillingham?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Item 4.02 is discussion and possible action to amend the location of the Oklahoma State Board of Career and Technology Education regular board meeting scheduled for June 18th. The reason we're doing this is we usually have those meetings in Stillwater, but I did not catch that when we did the schedule. And so it's up to this group really where we have those meetings. If you want to come back to the agency, if Oklahoma City works better, really up to this group to decide. But we're going to discuss this meeting and then the following on the next action item to see if you want to move their location. No action has to be taken, but it would be up to the pleasure of the group if they would like to take action and move to the agency again or other locations.
I like going to Stillwater.
I do too.
Yeah, I think we should keep doing the
I agree.
summers there. Summering in Stillwater. Here it's nice that time of year.
One thing that might be, if our attorney thinks it's appropriate, we might look at the time as well, because I know it's a longer drive from Lawton to get to Stillwater. That is a 9 o'clock meeting right now. I know that our action item did not list time. Maria, would it be okay if they wanted to?
I'm so sorry.
Mhm.
You probably gonna have to renotice it. and
Okay.
vote on the time.
Okay, we'll do it again the next board meeting if you want to do that.
Or we could do 9.
Or you can do 9.
It doesn't matter.
You can do
Okay.
it, buddy.
I brought that up for you, Mike. Okay.
Can't you just fly in?
That's like lunchtime for us construction guys.
Oh, my God.
I thought you were a restaurant guy. You all don't get up till 10 o'clock in the restaurant business, right? Okay, is there a preference or a pleasure of the group for changing the location of the Thursday, June 18th, 2026 board meeting?
I move we go to Stillwater.
You have to do them separately, but yes, we'll have 4.02, which will be the action on the June 18th, and then 4.03 will be July 16th, 2026 meeting. We're doing the same thing, 2 meetings in a row, 2 different agenda items.
I move we move it to Stillwater.
Okay, there's been a motion to move the Thursday, June 18th board meeting to Stillwater,
Second?
and a second. Any discussion? Ashley, call for a vote. Sorry, I went fast.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Dillingham?
Yes.
Ms. Hanning?
Yes.
Mr. McCullough?
Yes.
Mr. Seaman?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Item 4.03 is the exact same thing, but for the July 16th board meeting, I would entertain a motion.
So move. That we move it to
There we go.
That.
So moved what? Yeah. Peter has moved that we move the location of the Thursday, July 16th, 2026 board meeting to Stillwater, the state agency again, and it has been properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, call for a vote.
Mr. Seaman?
Yes.
Mr. McCullough?
Yes.
Ms. Hanning?
Yes.
Mr. Dillingham?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
I'm moving faster than I can write. Okay. We have no more action items. Number 5 is new business. Is there any new business Consideration and possible action on new items of business not known about which could have not been reasonably foreseen prior to the time of the posting of this agenda.
I have one item. How much money is in the budget for the board meeting party in Lawton?
We don't have a budget. I'll get you some sponsors. I'll talk to a restaurant owner in that area.
What organization is this anyway?
I'd like to formally thank Mike Brown for sponsoring this.
I second.
All right, seeing no business, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Oh, it's popular. All right, Ashley, call for a vote, please.
Yes.
Mr. Dillingham?
Yes.
Ms. Hanning?
Yes.
Mr. McCullough?
Yes.
Mr. Seaman?
Yes.
All right, y'all can get out of here. Thank you for your attendance.